All right, let's get into a story from the front lines of modern dating. And trust me, it's a real cautionary tale. It's about a connection that, on the surface, seemed absolutely perfect. You know, two people bonding over a love for the simple things, for budget-friendly adventures. But as we're about to see, the line between being charmingly frugal and being flat-out dishonest, well, it can get blurry fast.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Picture this: Austin, Texas. Our narrator is Alex, a 32-year-old freelance coder. He's living that classic gig economy life, you know how it is. Some months are fantastic, and other months are, well, let's just say they involve a lot of ramen. After a string of bad dates, he decides, you know what, I'm gonna be super specific about what I'm looking for.
And just like that, boom, he matches with Riley. And I mean, look at this. On paper, they are a perfect fit. His bio is all about being a budget adventurer, while hers is about chasing sunsets and good vibes. Their first few chats just sealed the deal, swapping stories about thrift store wins and garage sale treasures. It really seemed like a match made in frugal heaven.
Right off the bat, the chemistry is just there. The banter is fun, it's flirty, and they very quickly land on a first date that is so perfectly on brand for them both. A simple picnic at a beautiful park. The whole plan was just to keep it cheap and cheerful. No pressure, no pretending, or so we thought.
So now we get to the date itself, and you can see how this connection starts to build. Alex, being the planner that he is, puts together what he thinks is the perfect, low-cost, but really thoughtful first date. The point here wasn't just to be cheap, it was to show that you don't need to spend a ton of money to have a great time.
And here it is, the grand total, $13. Yep, that covered everything. Peanut butter and jelly supplies, a $2 blanket he snagged at a thrift store, and even a $1 kite he bought on a whim. For Alex, that $13 wasn't about saving money, it was a symbol of the simple, real connection he was hoping to find.
And at first, it's absolutely perfect. The conversation is just flowing, they're laughing about all their past dating nightmares, and not even a full-on ant invasion can kill the mood. She even brings some cucumbers she got from a farmer's market to share. The chemistry felt so real, and the whole low-key setting just made it feel easier to connect on a genuine level.
And Riley herself says it best. Right at the peak of the date, she just comes out with, "This is perfect, no frills, all feels." I mean, that's exactly what Alex was hoping for. At that moment, it felt like their shared frugality was this amazing thing that brought them together.
And then you have this, perfect movie moment. They get that cheap $1 kite flying. It's kind of clumsy at first, but then it just soars. And it feels like this perfect metaphor for their new connection. Afterwards, they're walking hand in hand. And just when Alex thinks it can't get any better, she suggests they go grab tacos, her treat. The spark is definitely there.
But you know how these things go. Just when everything seems perfect, the story takes a hard left turn. As they're about to head out for tacos, Riley asks if they can swing by her apartment really quick so she can change. Seems totally normal, right? But this little detour is where the whole vibe starts to shift and the questions start to pop up.
What was supposed to be a quick change just starts to drag on and on. 15 minutes go by. Alex sends a text. At 25 minutes, he gets a kind of vague reply about a wardrobe malfunction. By the time 45 minutes have passed, that easy, comfortable vibe from the part has completely vanished. Now it's just confusion and this growing feeling that something is off. So while he's waiting, getting kind of bored, he does something we've all probably thought about doing. He snoops a little. He peeks in her kitchen, and what he finds is, well, it's alarming. The freezer is stuffed with dozens of identical freezer-burned burritos. He sees a calendar on the wall with free meal nights circled. And the kombucha on the counter? It turns out to be just tap water in a fancy bottle. Each little discovery is another red flag.
So when Riley finally comes out of her room, you can just feel the tension in the air. Alex can't shake what he saw in the kitchen, and he decides he has to ask what's going on. And this is the moment where the whole story of their perfect frugal date just completely unravels.
And the truth just starts to fall apart with these small deceptions. First, she gives him this flimsy lie about traffic, which makes zero sense because they walked from the park together. When he presses her, she finally admits the real reason for the 45-minute wait. She was so hungry she had to secretly eat one of those freezer burritos before they could even leave for tacos.
And then, she drops the bombshell, the one sentence that changes everything. With this, Riley completely rewrites the entire date. What Alex thought was this charming, romantic picnic, for her, it was just a necessary meal. That peanut butter and jelly sandwich wasn't a cute, simple gesture, it was the only thing she'd eaten all day.
I mean, can you imagine how awkward that taco dinner was? They still go, but the magic is just gone. The conversation is dead, the silence is heavy. She insists on splitting the bill, then mowing him her half with shaky fingers. The ride home is quiet, and the goodbye hug just feels final. The spark that had been flying so high just a couple of hours earlier was completely out.
You'd think that's the end of it, right? Nope. About a week later, the final piece of this whole puzzle clicks into place, and it reveals the full story, confirming all of Alex's uneasy feelings. He ends up finding out through a mutual friend what was really going on. This wasn't a one-time thing. Riley's thrifty lifestyle wasn't a choice, it was a necessity. Her friend basically said she was in survival mode, using dates as a way to get free meals. It wasn't that she was malicious, she was just trying to get by.
And this really lays it all out, the person on the profile versus the person in reality. The spontaneous and thrifty yoga instructor was actually chronically broke in using old stock photos from a previous job. And that cute opening line about a picnic? Yeah, that wasn't a spontaneous suggestion. It was a calculated strategy to lock down a meal.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? At the end of the day, Alex's conclusion is pretty simple. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being frugal. But the deception, which really came from a place of fear, a fear of being judged for her reality, that's what killed the spark. It's a powerful reminder of the pressure to perform a certain lifestyle, even when it's a million miles from the truth.
And that leaves us with a pretty tough question to chew on. In a world where we're all curating our lives online, how much honesty do we owe someone, especially when it comes to money? This story shows what happens when that pressure to seem carefree and perfect crashes into a harsh economic reality. So I'll leave you with this: frugal or deceitful? Where do you draw the line?